Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
Hi, food friends. It's Ralph behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. And here we are, Ralph, and back in the kitchen studio.
And I have a feeling, based on what I'm looking at here, that there's going to be baking involved.
You are correct. Today we're baking. And we're going to make some muffins.
All right.
And we're going to utilize a very underrepresented element, the wonderful, delicious prune.
Wow.
Okay.
I love prunes.
Do you remember there a few years ago they were trying to call these dried plums?
Well, they are.
Yeah, well they are, but you know,
there
was something about the word prune that
had a negative
people didn't like.
We won't get into all that, but
we love prunes.
Yeah, they're actually used a lot in Polish cooking, aren't they?
They are in many
Eastern
cultures. Yeah. Anyway, so we love prunes, and so you know what? I said let's make something with some prunes. So. The first thing we need to do is talk about the prunes. So here, Ralph, what I did is I put about a cup of dried prunes in some water, and then I brought it to a boil and turned it off and let them sit there. And this does two things. One, it softens them because sometimes dried fruit can be really tough, you know,
right.
Apricots, raisins, currants, cranberries, prunes, and so this softens them, and it also rehydrates them a little bit, plumps them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain these, just let them drain out. By the way, there's your prune juice right there.
Oh, are you going to use that in the baking recipe?
I'm not going to use that, but not for the recipe. But I'm going to set these aside and kind of let them drain out. So, this is a muffin recipe, so it's what we call a quick bread. A quick bread is something that a bread that does not require yeast. We used other leaveners. In this case, we're using some baking powder. But anyways.
So when you use yeast, it takes longer?
Yeah, because you have to let the yeast work and rise and do its thing. In this case, we don't have to. So I'm going to start with 1 egg here. Now, this egg has been sitting. Well, we'll keep the shell. This egg's been sitting out for 45 minutes, so it's at room temperature. And I'm going to just give this egg a beat with my whisk. Baking, and I know we've talked about this, when you're baking stuff, all your ingredients, nothing should be really cold, okay? Should be at room temperature. So the egg is at room temperature. To the egg, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk, okay? Also, by the way, sitting out. When I took the egg out, I took the milk out.
What if your room is cold? Well, you don't want that.
Turn the heat up.
Okay.
1 cup of milk. And by the way, I'm using whole milk here because that's what we've got. You could use 2%. Please do not bake with skim milk. It's really like using water. It doesn't have enough fat in it to do anything. Okay. It's fine if that's what you want to drink, but not to bake. Then I've got a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. Okay, we're going to put that in there. So we're going to mix all that together. So an egg, milk, oil. Okay, nothing hard about that, right?
Right.
Now we're going to do our dry ingredients here. I've got some flour. So let me get our flour here. We need 2 cups of flour. So, get my cup measurement here. And now you can just scoop in there and level it off, and some people like to do that. I don't. I think sometimes it packs the flour unnecessarily in through the measuring cup, but whatever your method is. So, now I'll level it here.
Let me level with you.
This flour's on what we call on the level.
level.
I knew you were going to go there. All right, so let's have 1 more cup of flour. So 2 cups of flour. Okay.
Tend to bake.
And
Where's that tend to bake from?
this is from my
Canada?
brother brought it from North Carolina for me. Yeah, Newton, North Carolina. It's great flour. Now we also need some brown sugar. I need a 1/2 cup. So when we measure brown sugar, unlike flour, brown sugar we pack. So you've got your measuring cup here, and we're going to put, this is Pioneer brown sugar from right here in
Croswell,
Michigan Sugar Company. All right, so a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And always keep your brown sugar in a really tight, I gotta wash my hands.
It's got to be airtight because it can get hard or
it gets lumpy.
And
Well, you know, sugar's like a sponge. It absorbs the moisture. Okay.
lumpy's good for leave it to beaver character, but not for brown sugar.
Now for our leavening, the thing that's going to make the bread rise, we've got baking powder, and I'm going to use 3 teaspoons. Okay. 1,
Uno,
2,
dos, tres.
3.
Spanish lessons free.
Thank
with
you.
Each lesson with bacon.
Then we need a little salt. Teaspoon of salt. Just regular table salt's good here. And then the nutmeg. Now you can use a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg if you like. I really love the fresh nutmeg that you get. So it's the whole nutmeg here, and we just...
Well, look at that little grater.
Yeah, isn't that cute? It's perfect for this.
So the whole nutmeg and nothing but the nutmeg, and that gives it an especially fresh.
Yeah, it's really
touch.
fragrant. I think it has a little bit more of the nutmeg punch than the ground nutmeg. Because, you know, you have no idea when that was ground. Could have been years ago.
Could have been back during the Carter administration.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up all of our dry ingredients, okay? So the brown sugar and the flour and the spice and the baking soda and salt. All right, so there. Okay, so we've kind of got that mixed up. Now we are going to add the dry ingredients to our wet ingredients here.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah.
As you whisk it. So this is going to be a muffin that is going to be filled with prunes, or are the prunes going to be chopped up? Or
Yes, I'm going to chop the prunes up. I'm actually, instead of using the whisk here,
it's getting clogged.
it's getting clumpy.
Clumpy, so maybe
Let's use the spatula.
there you go.
And we'll stir this in.
Muffins are going to have prunes in them, and you said they're going to be, they're not whole, they're going to be chopped, right?
I'm going to chop them up. Yeah, I just want them to drain really good. Now, this is good. You just want to, Ralph, with this batter, you just want to moisten it, okay?
Don't overbeat it.
Don't overstir it. You don't need your mixer for this. You can stir this by hand. If you got, it's going to have some lumps, and that's totally okay. By the way, I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees.
That oven is a beaut.
And so now, let's take our beautiful prunes and chop them up. So let me chop these prunes up and into small pieces. I'm using a knife. You could use kitchen shears, would be another tool here. And I'm going to chop these up. We need 3/4 cup to a cup of the prunes.
So that'll take a little bit. We'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back. Prunes are all chopped up. Before I put those in, so the cameraman had this big idea. He says, "Oh, why don't you put some vanilla in there?" And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? it might actually be good with a little vanilla. So this is really not the place to put it. It would have been better when we were putting the wet ingredients together rather than now. But you know what? Since we can't go back in time, I left my time machine in my other trousers. I'm going to put...
I can smell it from here. So that adds a nice little touch. It's it adds
so we'll put that
our Mexican heritage too. Because it's Mexican vanilla, and it also makes the recipe even more uniquely your own.
So now we've got our prunes, which I'm going to fold in.
I can smell it. It almost smells like cherries, or you know how cherries go well with almond?
Yes.
I'm getting like an almondy smell. I was thinking, I wonder if you could mix prunes and dark cherries together, and people wouldn't know what they were biting into. They would just know it was delicious.
Yeah, you know, you could definitely do that. You could put in, you know what, you could substitute almost any other, you could dried fruit here, apricots, raisins.
Right, but I'm thinking, I mean, I love the idea that we're doing prune muffins, but it might be fun to keep it prune, but add just a little bit of like something else like cherry for a different kind of sweetness, or nuts. Did we talk about nuts? You could add nuts too.
Yes, you could. You could add some walnuts or pecans, yes. Whoop.
But we're keeping it basic today. This is almost like an Eastern European prune muffin.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the cups here. Now, if you didn't have these, you just give these a good spray with baking spray. If you don't have a non-stick kind of a thing going on, but I'm going to put...
So is it going to be like a muffin, not a cupcake? But
right,
those
it's a muffin.
So those are multi-purpose paper. What do they call them?
Well, they're just called, I don't know, baking cups. That's what they're called.
But they could be used for a muffin or a cupcake.
I like to use them for making muffins or cupcakes or
messes.
Well, they will. It makes it easier to clean these pans.
Yeah. And you know what I would do.
And you want to go 2/3, Ralph.
Okay, that's important. Yeah. But just watching you with that big spoon, I'm thinking, you know, I found a cool little scoop the other day that's like you would use for soups or something, but it's small.
Like a ladle?
Ladle, yeah. A small area covering ladle. That would be perfect for something like this. Yeah. But so you're saying 2/3 of the mixture goes into each cup?
Yeah, fill it about 2/3 full or so.
So here's Kevin cleaning up the extra batter that got on the metal, because you could not worry about it. And then
you could not worry about it, but here's what I've learned.
It burns?
It doesn't burn, but it cooks on, and it's easier to clean up wet batter than cooked on batter. Okay? Mm-hmm. So
you get as much as you can off. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it'll save you a couple minutes. All right. So
you can see how the batter goes about just below the rim of the paper cups, right?
Yes. And so we got two very full here, 1 dozen in total muffins. We're going to put those in the center of the oven, 20 to 25 minutes on the timer, and we'll have our prune muffins baked. It's been about 23 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And
take a look.
Oh, they look good. They look real good. All right. We're going to take these out. So, there we go. Right on time. Now, there's a couple different things you can do here to check doneness. One, you can just touch the top and just give them a slight press.
Like a springy?
If it springs back, they're done. I'm going to bring it over here.
I could almost do it just by look. By, seeing how they're kind of popping up and toasted and browning.
So this is not I got to find my cooling rack. It's in a box somewhere, folks. This is actually an inverted electric roaster rack, but you know what? It'll do.
This is really a TV antenna that he converted into a roaster rack.
So, another thing you can do is to take a toothpick and put it in the center, and if it comes out dry, you're good. Okay? So, we are going to let those cool for a minute. I want to get them out of the, I want to invert them out of the muffin pans because those pans are still hot, and so they'll continue to bake. And I don't want to get them sort of overdone. So
Gotcha.
we're gonna invert them here into something.
While they're hot?
Yeah, while they're hot.
Gotcha.
Again, we don't want to overdo them.
I see. Because they continue baking, you said?
Yeah, they do. If they're in the hot pan, we want them to cool. So let me
Bring them out to the
yeah,
world.
and I'll do the same for these, and then I'll set these on top of the cooling rack, and then they can cool if they'll fit. It looks like they will, and let them cool properly. We're going to want to eat these while they are warm, but not when they're hot. If you try to peel the paper off right now, the paper would pull a lot of the muffin off.
Oh.
Okay, it's still, as the muffins cool, the paper will release from the sides.
So there's a science
but
and a
yeah,
physics
you don't
to
want to peel a hot muffin
when you need to peel. Okay.
because it will it'll stick.
Destroy all your work.
So, anyways, but we've got the butter out. I just made some coffee, Ralph. So by the time these things are cool, we'll be able to enjoy our prune muffins.
So we'll come back when they're ready to the final taste test.
We've waited about 15 minutes. I think that's about as
Way
long
too
as I
long.
want. I want to wait to try one of these. They're still warm. Not hot, but warm.
Let's watch the peel test.
Yeah. There we go. See that? Now, let's cut it open.
Oh, see, it opens pretty easily.
Look at that pruny
And
goodness.
it's still kind of juicy, the prune, right?
They're very soft. Now, I'm sure here's what I'm going to do. Let's just take a bite of the muffin
As
itself.
is. And then you can describe what you're getting there.
Prune is nice and soft. Getting just a little of the nutmeg. It's not a super sweet muffin, but the prunes are adding most of the sweetness is coming from the prunes.
That's why I was saying maybe cherries would be a good
Because
addition.
remember, we just used brown sugar in this, and that was our only sweetener.
But are you getting the prune flavor?
Yes, very much so. Now, just to,
Does that get it up a
well,
bit?
because everything's better with a little butter. Mm-hmm. Delicious. I am getting some of the vanilla here. You want this?
Yeah.
I know he does. Are you getting sort of a little bit of the spice?
Oh, yeah.
And the prune?
Wow.
And it's great.
It's different.
With a cup of tea or a cup of coffee.
I think it's just sweet enough.
So, we'll try not to eat all of these just today.
We'll save one for you so you can join us.
Exactly. But anyways, you know what? This is just a nice, wonderful muffin that you might want to make for, great for a brunch, or if you're having people over in the morning.
And not just old people.
No, prunes are for everybody, folks.
And they're very nutritious.
They are, and again, it's not a super sugar. A lot of muffins are really sweet, very sugary. This one, you get the nice, almost a spice cake with the prunes mixed in.
And I'll tell a little secret. The juice that Kevin had gathered from draining those prunes, I mixed it with some orange juice, and that was delicious. I think prune and orange goes well together. Just saying.
You could put a little grated orange rind in this batter, and that would be nice,
Yeah,
too.
I think that would accent it very nicely.
So anyways, you know what?
What?
We had a great time making prune muffins with you, and we're glad that you could spend the time with us.
And we'll save you a couple.
We will. So you know what? From the Cavalcade Kitchen Studio here in beautiful Croswell, Michigan, we will see you next time right here on Cavalcade of Food.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.